Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abby, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of my podcast called Dear Abby. I'm your humble host. My name is Abby, and happy to be here today. We are going to talk about relationships and what sometimes our mental health how much it can affect our relationships and vice versa. And also some common, side effects, but common mindsets that we get into when we're struggling mentally, but we're in a relationship, and how sometimes we put a lot of pressure on our significant other to fix things or to help fix things, and how that can be not helpful in you actually getting better mentally, and B, in helping your relationship get closer and stronger. And these are not from an expert. This is just from my experience again. So if you don't like what I say ever on this podcast, just let it go in one ear, out the other. I'm not a pro in anything that I talk about. Is from experience. My understanding of relationships obviously deepened because I have been divorced. So I'm learning as much as everyone else is how to stay in a healthy relationship with the right person, and how to keep that healthy, and also how to keep it happy and real and honest and authentic to each other, and for it doesn't have to look like any other relationship. The purpose of it is for you both to learn to love and to grow and share things together. It's really, sometimes we can overcomplicate relationships, what they're supposed to do for us. And we see, I guess, like a common trope is that the partner saves the other in some way. And I do believe that in some capacities that does occur. But I think just from my personal experience, my husband has helped me so much with my mental health. But at the same time, he wouldn't have been helpful if I wasn't working on it myself. And if I hadn't already taken steps, myself, if I hadn't done the work, and if I don't continue to do the work, then he can't even be helpful to me, and he can't support me because I won't tell him what I need. I won't even want to communicate. I don't even want to be near people when I'm struggling mentally. So yes, I believe that people can really, really help, and they're God sent, and they're like these gap fillers that can fill these gaps and can help support. But I used to put so much pressure on relationships and on guys to fix my anxiety, to fix my OCD, to fix when I'm depressed, like to be able to fill the void, not just like a little gap, but to fill the whole void. And I've come to learn over the course of the past 10 years that that's not what happens. And like for me, at least, that's not at all how my life plays out, to where, a guy saves me and where they fix all of my problems, and especially my mental health. That's just, I think it really can affect the way that we look at our partner when we put so much pressure. Anyways, so I won't go too much in depth right now because I just wanted to introduce what we're talking about. But I do want to talk about a couple of mindsets that do hinder both a connection and also you actually feeling better in your own body and mentally. Overall, it's kind of just looking for support in the right places for different aspects of your needs. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But I also, first, we're going to do dubs and L's, of course. Then we're going to go into the details, and then that'll be it. And then we're going to do the main topic, and then that'll be today's episode. Thank you again. Before we jump in, I just want to say thank you because I know people will click off when I get to the end. So before you can, thank you so much for listening to my podcast. If you listen to it once a month, once a year, every single episode, if you've listened to it for so long or you're new, I'm really grateful I hope this is a helpful and a space on the internet where you can feel your anxiety loosen its grips a little bit. So thank you. Okay, let's jump into it. My dub for this week has been I found a YouTube series on a channel called Dungeon Dudes, but the series is put on by, I don't know her full name, Deborah Ann something Wool, I believe, but she's a like a game master. So like for TT, like tabletop role play games. So if you hear TTRPG, I learned that the hard way. I was like, why is everyone saying like this 20 letter acronym? But it's just tabletop role play games. Anyways, there's a series on this YouTube channel, and they did one called Tales of Wood Creek. Tales of Wood Creek, I believe is what it's called. And I think there's 6 or 7 episodes in the series, but it's called Tales of Wood Creek. And the show is people playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, but they're doing it in an almost like an escape room style / LARPing / well, that's kind of it. And they're solving a mystery. It's like some creepy kind of haunted town, creepy kind of old village, but they get one new person every single episode. So I love when things kind of change up and there's new people. I like when the core is the same. I don't like new people every time. I'm very much the type of person that gets attached to, if I watch certain shows, like I get attached to those people, and I don't want that to change, or else I won't like the show anymore. So I like the main people to stay the main people, but I do like fresh people every once in a while to like mix things up and to add a different dynamic. And it's just fun to watch people interact with each other in this scenario, because you're basically watching people play D&D, but it's like they're walking around. It's like an escape room, but like a long-winded Dungeons and Dragons escape room. It's like LARPing, which maybe it doesn't sound good to some of you, but if you like Nancy Drew or mystery or escape rooms or D&D or anything like that, like fantasy, you will like it, because the game master, Deborah, she kind of, or Deb, I don't know what like she wants to be called, I guess, but she kind of reminds me of Nancy Drew and I say that with the highest regard, because I love Nancy Drew. I think she's so cool, so classy, so fun. I just love the mystery, girly mystery vibe. So she kind of reminds me of Nancy Drew, and also the game just kind of gave me Nancy Drew vibes, like spooky, but also really fun and funny. So it's lighthearted. It's not like super scary. It's just fun, scary, and mysterious. So if you want to watch a new show, or if you want to get into that stuff, or if you just like Nancy Drew and you want to watch a mystery and fun, nerdy people play this game, it's called Tales of Wood Creek, the Tale of Wood Creek. If you look that up or look at Dungeon Dudes, it's on their channel, so you'll be able to find it. But it's so good, and I loved it, and I binge watched it and I want them to make more of them. Like, I want a whole show. I want there to be multiple seasons of people playing this, and I also want to be on the season. That would be so fun. Anyways, okay, so, or if you like Traders, it's similar to Traders. No, it's not. It's actually not at all. I don't know why I said that. It's a little creepy like it. Okay. Anyways, so that was my dub. Really enjoyed that. Now, my L for this week, in full transparency, I really struggled to record today, and that's 100% just due to I have been in a bit of a depressive episode, and it's been a while since I've had a really bad one like this, where, just the classic symptoms, like it's been a while now, and I just have it's really intense, and it's really, feel really angry for some reason and numb at the same time. Goes back and forth. I feel like nothing matters. No one likes me. I just have all of these depressive and depressing thoughts, and trigger warning, but I don't know if I need to do a trigger warning for this, but I just trying to be honest. I have these thoughts and these feelings like that feel really heavy, and that try to get me to believe that nothing matters. You don't know how to feel better. Like, you just don't feel better, period. And when you have these depressive episodes that are really intense, and they kind of come in like a 3-week spout of it, sometimes for me it can be like a week, but it's really bad, and I feel like I'm not even myself. I don't feel like myself at all. It's just one of those things that's hard to explain unless you've experienced it, then you just know. But it's just like the relentless feel nothing. When I do feel, it's usually really heavy and doesn't feel great. The thoughts are not very positive. So that's been an L. However, as I was pumping myself up to record, and I know that I've been through this a lot of times, I just always have to try to buoy myself up by remembering that even if I don't feel like things matter to me and that this matters to me or other things matter to me, just because I don't feel that doesn't mean that that's true. And at least for me, brings me comfort when I am in these depressive states, because I can still act according to what I really value and what I know deep down matters to me. Nothing, like my feelings can't change that, which is very comforting to me, because I used to, when I would get in these episodes, I would feel like I'm doing something so incredibly wrong, or I would start to then turn it into myself to where all of the bad feelings were my fault, and it would make it so much worse and it would last so much longer. Versus now, I know that I have experienced this so many times, and I don't have to let it get as bad as it used to always get. And I have the power to do that. And I also know how to get support and how to communicate that to, like, my husband, for example. If I'm really struggling, I can communicate that. So that's a bit of an L, but also a dub at the same time, that even if I'm in the trenches, I'm still able to create meaning within it. And I feel better surrendering to that I have these ups and downs, and that's okay. And that's just part of who I am, but it's not like everything that I am. It's just a part of me. And I have two choices when this happens. It's one, like I said earlier, it's to make myself worse and turn it into what's wrong with me, just mean things to myself. But instead, or the other option, that I'm actually capable, that actually, wait, I don't have to do that. I am allowed to just embrace myself when I'm like this and be compassionate and understand and slow down. And it also weirdly connects me to my younger self. We're going to jump into the details, because there's this one particular thing that I think of when I have these big waves, ups and downs, is when I was a little girl. I remember feeling, I don't know if it's from my bipolar OCD, I'm not sure, I don't know if it's neurodivergency, I don't exactly know what, but I remember being very emotional. But I remember when I would feel really intense about stuff, like these really, really big feelings. I think a lot of kids feel this. When you feel these really big feelings and you kind of want something to happen to you physically, like you want to get hurt almost. That way it kind of justifies, like, why do I feel so bad, or why do I feel so heavy or emotional, or why does this feel so big? And I remember being a kid and thinking, like, I want to get hurt so that way I can get attention, because I don't know if, like, I can get the same attention from my peers or from other people unless I'm physically injured and someone can physically see it, then they'll believe it. But if I tell somebody I'm in this emotional pain and they can't see it because I'm like fine, I look fine, then no one's going to believe it. If I tell someone I'm not doing okay mentally, and I'm sure if I told my mom or my dad, they would have 100% believed me. But sometimes you just learn from an early age to keep it all in. And it's not one person that teaches you that. I really do believe it's just like a culmination of multiple people and interacting at school and at church and in multiple different places where just the world can be cruel. But I do remember feeling like sometimes trying to understand why I felt so big about stuff, or I felt so bad, like I felt so heavy and sad, but like there's nothing wrong physically with me, like my body, I was fine. Now as an adult, when I have these ups and downs, looking back, if I had any type of ups and downs as a kid, again, I would want to be like, I feel like I wish that I got hurt, that way people would trust me. And now I think of like little sensitive kids at school, they always get bullied. Like I remember if like I cried or something, people would just make fun of you. That's just what people do. That's just what the kids did. So that's another reason why I think you start to slowly keep it all in, because people make fun of how expressive you are or how you cry a lot and whatever it is. But now, obviously, I'm an adult. I love it. I embrace it. But when you learn different things about yourself as an adult, you can't help but get these small feelings and that come from your childhood, and you feel like a child again. And you remember feeling this way, but you were a lot younger and your understanding was different. And so it's very healing to just understand yourself. That is my random in the details for today. I think a lot of sensitive people, both guys and girls, will relate to that, and that there's nothing wrong with us for being sensitive. Okay, the main topic of today's episode, again, I wanted to talk about putting too much pressure on your significant other or maybe a family member or whoever it is, to not put so much pressure on them to fix you, to fix your mental health, to fix your bad feelings that you have, to fix your OCD obsessions, to fix your depression. There's sometimes, I think, just growing up, seeing certain medias, or even just being a romantic and you love the big feelings and being in love and you want to like be saved in some way. But we put that kind of on the wrong people, on the wrong person. I think God's really the only one that can fully save us. But sometimes we put this saving thing on somebody else around us that doesn't have the capacity to do that for us fully. And that's pretty unfair to put that pressure on somebody else. But it's because it would be nice if someone could just make us feel better all the time. It would be nice if my husband could just snap his fingers, give me a quick hug and a kiss, and then actually everything was better. Is it comforting to me? Of course. Do I need a little kiss and cuddles when I'm feeling anxious? And does it help? 100%. It calms my nerves. But does it fix my mental health? Absolutely not. For me, it does not fix things. I'm pretty stubborn. My OCD and a part of me is very, very stubborn. It's honestly kind of hard to let other people help me, but even though a part of me, like, deep down kind of wants to be saved in some way still, even though I know that's like my husband doesn't do that and can't do that, and even like my mom or my dad, like, they can't save me. They can't take everything, take OCD away from me. They can't take my mental issues away from me. I'm sure they would want to, and I'm sure there's many people in your life that would want nothing more than to like burden themselves and take it off of you, but they can't. But it's just like, that's just not how life works. It's impossible. I can't jump into my husband's shoes and know exactly what he's feeling at all points of the day. That way I can perfectly understand him and perfectly say the exact right things that he needs all the time in the exact right time and in the way that he needs. It would be awesome. And I think when you are romantic or when you're sensitive or when you obviously love somebody, you want to be able to do that. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we are able to discern what they need, or maybe things that they're worried about, without even expressing to us, that we're able to calm their nerves. And it feels so good to do that for somebody else. And so this isn't to discourage that at all, or to say that that doesn't exist, because that is 100% how life works, is that people can help calm you and help support, but they just can't take it fully away. I think it's just dangerous to put the expectation on your husband or your wife or somebody else to fix your own problems and to fix your own issues that are happening internally, because they don't understand you completely. It's would be so incredibly, it's almost impossible. But you can understand a lot of aspects and you can understand their needs. They're not going to know all of your needs before you ask, and they're also not going to always be able to support you exactly how you need in every single moment. I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life in a relationship that has told me that that's how their relationship has worked. I think it's also hard to admit, because people can take it the wrong way if you say that you and your significant other get into disagreements or you guys argue sometimes, because people just will take that and run with it and make it like the worst possible case scenario and you guys are both toxic, whatever. There's so many like buzzword type things. Like I said earlier, your relationship is your relationship and it's nobody else's relationship. It does not need to be exactly like everybody else's. And I think that's another expectation that brings you guys further apart, is when you're expecting to interact the same as another relationship. Because I think it takes away from being in the moment with them, expecting them to act a different way than who they are. Like when you think of how you fell in love, you probably fell in love with them for who they are, and you saw a lot of different sides that you really fell in love with and you really, really liked. And then you guys probably got into an argument, or you get into arguments now. You've been married, or maybe you're just dating, but you've had an argument and you're thinking it's the end of the world, because how could you argue with someone you love? Like, how could the person that you love and that chose you ever hurt your feelings? It doesn't feel good when you get your feelings hurt by your partner. It doesn't feel good at all. But it also doesn't mean that has to be the end of the relationship, or that you should not ever fight moving forward. If you ever listen to books or podcasts of professionals of who are like relationship therapists, they always say like it's not about the fighting, it's about how you fight. And it's also about how you resolve afterward. I've learned that there's not really, I don't know if there's an effective way to argue, because I think arguing just sucks. I just hate getting into disagreements with people unless it's like fun. So something I try to work on, and something my husband's really good at, is diffusing situations by like making fun, by like joking around or doing something, wanting to break my straight face, not wanting to give him an inch of a smile or a smirk, and then he does something like goofy, and then I break a smile, and then like I immediately feel so much better. My heart is like shatters open again, and then I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. So I think de-escalation is really helpful, and I think humor in a tasteful way when things are getting heated, when you're both getting really frustrated and it feels like you're speaking two different languages. You're like, how are you not understanding what I'm saying? Breaking the ice that way is helpful. If you're somebody that gets really worked up in an argument and you feel very emotional and people get upset, both men and women equally get upset, sometimes it's good to just say out loud, I feel really angry with you, but I'm like, there's blind spots probably to what I'm thinking, and because I feel angry, so I'm all fired up. Let's just stop talking for now, and then let's come back later when we've both calmed down. That way we can say what we really feel versus just spouting out the first things that come to our head, because most of the time those are filled with blind spots. And by blind spots, I mean like those the things that your partner does do that you're saying they don't do because they didn't do it once and now you think they never do it. Things that they actually are doing but you're not saying because you're focusing on either the negative, or they did one thing that really made you mad or really upset you, and that's all you can see, and you can't see all of the other things that they've done to like help support, and the kind things that they've said, and you know how they are most of the time. Because I really think like in relationships, most of the time people are doing kind things for the other a lot. Like a good relationship, a healthy relationship, you are looking out for the other person a lot. Not all the time, because sometimes we're wrapped up in our own stuff. But I think in those healthy relationships, you're trying to get out of your own way to help somebody, to help your significant other. So to go back to not putting the pressure on them to fix your mental health, and why sometimes doing that makes things worse. Anytime I've ever put any expectation on somebody else to fix my mental health, I get more frustrated with them because I feel like they're doing something wrong. It feels like they're doing something wrong, like they're sabotaging you, or, hey, no, you are my partner, or, hey, you're my family. You should only ever make me feel good and not ever say the wrong thing. Like, if you just follow the script in my head, I've seen that online where people are like, why can't my husband just follow the script that I wrote in my head for him to say to make me feel better? Which would be incredibly frustrating to receive on the opposite end. I would not like if my husband came to me and was like, well, if you just did what I think you should do. It's like, okay, well, now you're not giving me any autonomy to act for now I have no autonomy. You're telling me I shouldn't have any autonomy, which would which would be very frustrating. So I have to play the Uno reverse card anytime I like ever start to think like that. That is always like that's always number one indicator that I'm being a little bit that I'm being irrational in the moment, that I need to calm down for a second. If I feel like, why isn't he just doing what I think he should say and what I think he should do? That being said, you can always, of course, request and kindly, compliment sandwich, ask like, hey, next time you feel this way, can you express it in this way? I would really appreciate that because I'm insecure about this. And sometimes that triggers that. And like, it would just be, I'll work on my own insecurities, but something you can do to help support is A, B, or C. So yeah, putting that pressure on somebody else to fix it is going to cause, I think, more tension. And also the other key thing in that is it takes the responsibility off of you to do any of your own work, which is, again, not fair at all to expect somebody else to fix it and you don't have to do anything. So something that is helpful is when you do feel like you're putting a lot of pressure is A, to be aware when you are putting a lot of pressure on somebody else to fix you and fix your own feelings. Sometimes, maybe, perhaps, my theory is, perhaps we interpret our want to connect with the need for somebody else to fix us. And we sometimes think those are the same things when they're not. We don't just connect to somebody through them fixing us. I don't know if that makes any sense, but we crave depth in relationships. We crave connection and trust. And so we want them to be in our world. We want them to understand us in some capacity. So it can be hurtful when they're not able to help you in that capacity, but they're probably trying to understand you. And I think a way to welcome that connection versus put way too much pressure on that is to be patient with their understanding and to be patient in the getting to know each other. Like there could be things in 5 years down the road that finally they understand, or that finally you understand about them. We all have only a certain capacity to understand stuff at certain times. Like there's things that we learn later on in life. I think being open to understanding your partner more, like really open yourself up to understand them, will, I think, help them understand you in some ways and open up that connection versus demanding that they should already understand you or saying, why don't you understand me? It's so hurtful. But it's like, that's not, they can't just immediately understand you. I feel like it'd be worse if they would just like lied to you, even though sometimes we're like, just lie. Anyways, going back to taking the responsibility off of yourself by putting it on somebody else to fix, that's obviously not helpful for your mental health because then you're not doing your own work. That one's pretty obvious, but it can be tempting and it can get a little bit tricky. Again, we're wanting to feel not alone. But I think that we have 50, but I think the feeling of being alone is half on us because sometimes we harden ourselves or we don't let people in or they don't say what we think would have helped us. So then we kind of like close ourselves off maybe, and we don't even give them another chance, or we assume the worst. And so we're kind of already closing that, and we focus on all the things that they didn't do or that they did do wrong or whatever it is. Then we're slowly kind of just like pulling back into ourselves, which is something we've probably learned to do. There doesn't need to be further shame with that habit, but it also can be something that we if we do want more connection, it's going to be something that we will have to like work on. Obviously, it's our feelings, it's our mental health, it's our responsibility, especially as an adult. Like as a kid, that's like your parents. That's the people, the adults around you. That's their responsibility to help you understand how to manage it yourself eventually and to show them how to regulate. But now that we're adults, we have the capacity to learn and to be introduced to different things and recognize things within ourselves that we want to change. And that's something that and that's our responsibility. And thank goodness, because now we actually can change it, you know? Thank goodness it's our responsibility because now you can change it. If you want to learn different habits, if you obviously want, and if you want to try medication, if you want to go to therapy, if you want to actually do the homework that your therapist is telling you to do, all the things that are good for your mental health, it's your responsibility. And so I think that's almost everything. The last thing I wanted to say just on this topic is actually two things. First If you are someone that struggles mentally and it's sometimes taken out on the people around you, you need to learn to forgive yourself for that and also take responsibility for that. Like it's just both. You can be compassionate to yourself and understand. And I think that is actually the gateway to be more connected to your partner, because then it's not you against them. It's you both against the things that you struggle with. You both against your mental health. You both against, a fight you just had, or an argument, or, someone forgot something and it's hurtful to the other person. Whatever it is, it's like, it just helps get back to the point of the relationship. And anytime I take the pressure off of other people, and I almost kind of take the pressure off myself in a way, because I'm not talking about good pressure. I'm talking about bad pressure. I'm talking about the expectation that things should be different right now. And because they're not, there's something inherently wrong with me. It's also helpful when I make that, when I try to make that shift, is to kind of surrender to it, but not like let it take control. It's more just let it be there. The mental struggles, like let it run its course if need be. I also think when we're kinder to ourselves, that's usually, again, the gateway to being kinder to our partner, and then you feel more connected. Because usually if they're defensive, or if they're maybe a little bit grumpy, or maybe they're, forgetful, or they're, doing something that's hurting you, they also might be mentally occupied with something. And so maybe try to understand that versus accusing immediately. Because that's what we would want on our end. Like if I forgot something, I don't want someone immediately accusing me of not loving them, or immediately accusing me of I don't know what they would accuse me of, but I would want someone to be giving me the benefit of the doubt and not presuming anything before talking to me or telling me if it was hurtful, but just being really open and waiting for a response. And if you're not getting that from your partner, like you wish that they were more patient, or you wish that they were more of something, try to like shift it to, maybe I'm going to try to be more this, and see if that helps. I'm not a marriage counselor, so if if someone else has just never tried to do anything better, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. I don't know. That's going to be it for today's episode. We will have a Dear Abby next week. We will have a Dear Abby next episode, and we will also be talking about bodies because it's summer. I usually do this a little bit earlier, where I have like my annual summer episode where I remind everybody how unimportant having a flat stomach is. And things make it really, people and things and pictures and just different things really make it feel like it matters. And that's not all we're talking about, but that's one of the main things. Like next week, so next episode, we're going to talk about just some reminders of how beautiful your body is, and how to have a wonderful, great summer in a body that you can learn to adore, instead of wanting to change everything. And that's everything. So we're going to go ahead and end today's episode. If you guys want to listen to other podcast episodes, I have a billion at this point. Not really. I have like 200, maybe 100 something. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. You can leave me a review on Apple or Spotify as well. You can comment, like, subscribe on YouTube. I post all my vlogs there with video if you wanted to see that. If you want to go above and beyond, you can post a clip, or just post me on your story, my podcast on your story, whatever on your story on Instagram, TikTok, whatever the heck has stories and everything else, and or just word of mouth. That is a great way to support. Please support my podcast. I feel uncomfortable saying that, but if you do enjoy my podcast, I really would appreciate the support. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Love you guys. Bye. 우회전 taking a right to join a lane 눈치 보면서 들어가 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 계속 레인 바꾸는 사람들 시간